So ordered.
Mr. Speaker, on November 28th, a new federal courthouse will open in Western New York. Located on historic Niagara Square in Buffalo's Central Business District, the 10-story structure will be home to the United States Court for the Western District of New York. The striking profile of the courthouse is a reminder that Buffalo's future is connected to its unique architectural heritage. As we draw inspiration for our future from this impressive building, I can think of no name more fitting to grace it than one from our past, that of Western New York's only Supreme Court Justice, Robert H. Jackson. Jackson was born and raised near Jamestown, New York. He spent the first 42 years of his life in Western New York and for a time lived on Johnson Park, which is in the shadow of the new courthouse. And he practiced law at the historic Ellicott Square building in downtown Buffalo. He was a prominent local attorney, and in 1934, President Roosevelt called him to public service in Washington. After stints as Assistant Attorney General for Tax and Antitrust, Jackson was appointed U.S. Solicitor General. He personally argued more than 30 cases before the Supreme Court on which he would later sit. Louis Brandeis, who was a Supreme Court Justice at the time, said of Jackson that he was so good he should be Solicitor General for life. But Jackson was soon tapped to head the Justice Department as the United States Attorney General. He was instrumental in helping President Roosevelt formulate America's national security policies as the United States headed toward inevitable involvement in World War II. In 1941, Roosevelt appointed Jackson to the United States Supreme Court. He remains to this day the only Supreme Court justice from Western New York. He served on the court for 13 terms and took part in several important decisions, none bigger than the landmark Brown v. Board of Education, which prohibited segregation. Justice Jackson was known on the court for personally authoring thoughtful and compelling opinions. The leading constitutional scholar, Lawrence Tribe, called Jackson the most piercingly eloquent writer ever to serve on the United States Supreme Court. In 1945, President Truman asked Johnson to take a leave from the court to serve as the United States Chief Prosecutor at the International Military Tribunal, the Nuremberg trials. Jackson was the chief prosecutor of the Nazi war criminals and was responsible for achieving consensus among the Allies on the design and implementation of the trials. Some believe that the year Jackson spent away from the court cost him a chance of being elevated to Chief Justice. But Jackson argued that Nuremberg was the most important work of his life. True to his Western New York roots, immediately upon returning from Europe, Jackson took a train to Buffalo to address the University of Buffalo's centennial. He spoke eloquently of the subjects of war, international law, and the need for countries to work together for peace. Robert Jackson died in 1954 and is buried at Maple Grove Cemetery in Frewsburg, New York, not far from his childhood home. The federal judges, the United States Attorney of the Western District of New York, have endorsed the naming of the courthouse in Jackson's honor. Chief Judge William Scretany called him the most distinguished jurist and most acclaimed legal mind to come out of Western New York. And Senior Judge John Curtin said of Jackson, "I think we should pick someone from the court family in Western New York. I can't think of a better choice." Mr. Speaker, Justice Jackson's story is uniquely American, and it's uniquely Western New York. I will soon introduce legislation to name our new courthouse for Robert H. Jackson, and I invite my colleagues to join to support this effort. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields.